But yeah, so yesterday, a 3-year-old was apparently shot and killed when we were out protesting yesterday. And we went by the police station. We saw like all the cars like speed out, and like there was this big thing, and we were like, "Oh, something happened." And we found out a 3-year-old was killed in apparently a drive-by shooting, in my neighborhood. And that, it's just another day in America, folks. It's just another day in this goddamn hellhole we call America, where grown adults would rather kill 3-year-old children than have an adult conversation that might be a little difficult. Oh, you might cry during a conversation. Oh, well, let's just go kill kids. I mean, we can't have you experiencing emotion like an adult. No way. No, let's just kill some children for fun. And that's this whole country, man. Like, again, like with all these school shootings, look at this Michigan bullshit. Maybe I'll make this a segment here. I'm not going to read an article, but I want to talk about this. Right, the Michigan shooting that happened, right? I think it was in Michigan with the kid whose parents were Trumpers, and they were like bragging about, look at all our guns. We got guns. Trump, 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 guns, right? And then their kid took their guns and went to school and killed people, right? This gun culture is fucking stupid, man. What do you need guns for? Like, why are we, for self-defense. Well, who's attacking you? Like, but what if I get burglared? Well, why are people burgling you? Chances are, most burglars, right, they do it because they're poor and they need money. So we just gave people money, burglary would go away. So then, guess what would happen? The need for guns would go away. But that's a whole nother thing, right? On Twitter, I was talking about this yesterday a little bit. I was drinking last night. And so the idea that Trump supporters can raise a child thinking guns are guns, like imagine your whole life, you're 15, right? So your entire life up until that moment is like, you go home, guns, guns, Trump, 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 guns, whoa, guns, man, we're going to get some guns, we're going to shoot those Democrats, right? And then, all right, you go to school and people bully you. And and then you go home, and your parents are like, guns, guns, guns. We got some more guns. What's the kid's name? Ethan or something? Let me look up the kid's name. What is it? Michigan school shooting. I mean, like, that's the thing. Is like, which was it, like Oxford or something? Yeah, Ethan Crumbly. Right. So again. And I'm not trying to defend the kid at all, but I'm saying that the parents have a responsibility here, right? When you go home, right, from being bullied all day, right, you're a social pariah, probably because your parents don't know how to raise you, right? You get bullied all the time, right? You go home, your parents are gun lovers, Trump, Trump, guns, 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 you're gonna kill Democrats, gonna kill them, gonna kill those Democrats. And you're thinking, right, you raised in a gun culture. At home, guns everywhere, right? All over the place. There's been like 40 school shootings this year. 40 school year, I mean, like since the school year started this summer. There's been like 40 fucking school shootings, right? So you're thinking, right, this is just a thing. If people bully me, I can just go get a gun and kill the people that bully me. You're a kid, right? You're not developed into the world. Your entire life, human life is just disregarded in this capitalist society, right? Again, human life, like, again, people just walk by homeless people on the street, and like, I remember when like my parents like would see a homeless person while we're walking down the street, and they would tell me, don't look. Like that was a lesson that my parents taught me. Don't look at the homeless person. That was like a lesson. Like how to tie your shoes and how to avoid looking at homeless people. That's what you teach children, right? So we live in this society, this capitalist dystopia hellhole, where human life is already just thrown into the fucking garbage can for nothing. No one gives a fuck about human life at all in this society, at all. We're all fucked, we all hate each other, and we all want to kill each other all the time. That's America, folks, right? So when you have a 15-year-old who's been grown, born, and raised in the primordial soup of death, destruction, and hatred, right, by these fucking evil parents, again, right, the parents bear responsibility, right? And then when you look at this case in Michigan with Ethan Crumbly, right, where it's like, teachers reported his behavior as strange, all this stuff. They, like, hours before he shot and killed several people, right, he was in, like, the principal's office or whatever, the guidance council, whatever it was, and they're like, well, I guess he's good to go, because they don't feel like doing their job. They don't care, right? They're just, like, going through the motions. We're all sleepwalking through life. That's another thing about capitalism. right? Is we're all sleepwalking through life. We all don't give a fuck. We're all just doing what we need to do to get a paycheck, go home, drink beer, and sleep. That's our lives, right? So when you go to school, like, or for, you know, you go to work and you work at a school as a guidance counselor, you're so like, you get hundreds of kids you're talking to a week, and this, that, whatever. All right, whatever. Okay, whatever. You don't want to do the paperwork. You don't want to have to go home and you do extra work. You just want to go home, drink your beer, and sleep. So you're gonna fucking cut corners, and one of those corners that you're cut is gonna be a school shooter. Right? This instance, right? When and it's just ridiculous to me. But the parents, right? Yeah, his parents were called to school that day, right? The parents went there again, and so last night I was drinking a little bit. I was thinking about this whole thing, and I tweeted out that I don't think Trumpers should be allowed to have children. Now that's not a super serious take, but I want to have that conversation though, where it's like, where is the level of accountability? The kid is 15, right? You should be old enough to know that killing people is bad when you're 15. You should be. You should be. But obviously, you're not. Right? With this guy's case, he's obviously not able to understand that killing people is actually bad. And then we also have to, like, and I'm not trying to blame bullies. Actually, I am. I'm going to blame bullies here. What is this society where kids bully other kids in school? What is that? What? What? Like, I'm sorry, but what? Like, that, the parents of those kids who bullied Ethan also, now, I'm not trying to say that they're solely responsible for the school shooting, not at all. But again, we need to examine all of ourselves on a cultural level. On a cultural level, we have to understand, why would you let your child bully someone else? How are you raising a child that thinks bullying is acceptable behavior? Now, again, I'm not saying that they're responsible for Ethan going on a psycho spree, right? There's a lot of moving parts here, right? There's a lot of moving parts here. There's a lot. Everyone is responsible. I'm responsible. You're responsible. Everyone that participates in the society is responsible in some degree. So again, it's not about placing blame and saying, you're the bad guy, you're the bad guy. We're all bad. And we all have to examine our behavior here. Because again, let's look at the chain of events. Let's look at the domino effect that led to that school shooting, okay? You have Trump supporting gun nut lunatics raising a kid around guns all the time. Guns, guns, guns. Kill Democrats, kill Democrats. How are we going to kill them? With our guns. Trump, Trump, Trump. Guns, guns, guns. We love guns, right? And that kid is bullied by some other fucking piece of shit whose parents are like, whatever. They're probably just not involved in their kid's life whatsoever. Again, if a kid's a bully, they've got deep emotional trauma probably that stems from a lack of care and attention from their parents, right? I get it. Whatever. I'm not trying to say someone who's 15 bullying someone, shoving them into a locker should feel personally responsible for mass shootings. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, again, it's a domino effect. If you didn't bully that motherfucker, maybe that motherfucker wouldn't have killed people in your school, right? So again, it all goes to the parents of these kids. What are we teaching our kids? Think about this. I don't have kids, right? But what are we teaching? What are they teaching their kids? Because I don't have kids. So this is all on y'all motherfuckers. Y'all motherfuckers with kids out there, I'm talking to you. I don't have kids, right? And if I do have kids, I'm not going to teach them about guns. I'll teach them that they exist, right? But I'm not going to be like, guns, oh my God, everybody got guns, woo! Right? Because I'm not a fucking psychopath. But again, that's another problem that we have is, okay, think about this, right? Think about this. Again, and I'm bringing this in a little bit. 95% of Americans don't eat enough fiber. I know, you're rolling your eyes. You're like, oh, here we go. So 95% of Americans don't eat enough fiber. What's fiber? Vegetables. 95% of Americans don't eat vegetables, right? Every other societal event in America, you can trace the domino effect back to processed food. And I'm just saying, right? Because again, when you are in a culture where 95% of the people in the culture are malnourished. They're malnourished. What does being malnourished cause? Brain fog, lack of care, lack of empathy, derealization, all that kind of stuff, right? You just don't care about the world. You're just kind of sleepwalking through life. You don't eat fucking food properly, right? And then again, capitalism makes us work all the time. Kids, right? Probably look at my situation. My situation is I was raised by a single mother, right? She would go to work, come home with fast food, and then go to bed. I barely ever talked to her for most of our life, right? She's dead now. But, most of my time as a kid, barely ever really talked to her. Because for most, outside of when I was a really young kid, right, really, it was around when I was 7 or 8. It would just turn into the cycle. Go to work, bring home fast food, sometimes maybe bring home something you throw in the microwave, then go to sleep. We hardly ever talked. We hardly ever interacted, right? And so when you extrapolate that, right, and then maybe add guns to the mix, right? You know, maybe you throw some guns out there, the parents are both ignoring the kid's getting bullied, you throw that into, like, you got a whole concoction now, and boom, school shooting. And again, there's 40 of them just this year, this school year, I should say, because there's probably been more this whole year of calendar year, right? But this school year, there's already been 40 of these motherfucking mass shootings. What? Like, what? And again, this culture that we live in, where capitalism tells us we can't have any time to raise our children, here's my opinion. If you can't properly raise a child, don't have a child. That's my opinion. Like, again, my mother clearly was not capable of raising a child. I would have rather never been born to deal with that shit. And I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there, right? And again, like, there's really nothing special about life. Like, let's be honest. The human condition, it's nothing special, all right? Like, I got born into this world. I didn't choose. It was non-consent. My consent was violated from the jump. I got thrown into this shitstorm. Right? 2 motherfuckers decided to get it on, and now I have to make money to fucking feed myself. What? I have to sell my soul to capitalism to feed myself because 2 motherfuckers 25 years ago were like, oh shit, let's get freaky. That's fucked up, man. That's fucked up. When you think about that, right? And then you think about how beautiful the human experience is. How beautiful and wonderful. Like, look at this shit going on in your brain, right? The human consciousness is the most incredible thing in the history of the fucking world. Nothing ever that we will ever interact with, not a robot, not a cool looking like dog, not like a really beautiful piece of art, nothing we ever in the world, in the history of forever, ever, will ever interact with aliens. If aliens ever came, they would still not be as mystical and wonderful as the human consciousness. And look at what we're doing. Like, again, 95% of Americans don't eat vegetables. You know what happens when you don't eat vegetables? Again, your brain turns to mush. You become a zombie when you don't eat properly. Why do you think fast food and processed food is so popular? Why do you think they feed junk food to kids in school? It's because they don't want people to think. They don't want people's brains to be working at peak functionality. They want people to be addicted to sugar. They want people to be addicts. Addicts. We're all addicts to poison. Look at me. I'm addicted to fucking caffeine. But I would rather be addicted to caffeine than sugar and fucking processed food and fast food, right? And that kind of shit. I would much rather be addicted to marijuana than fucking like high fructose corn syrup. I'm sorry, I'm just telling the truth. All right, so I'm just letting y'all know about my opinion here. So my opinion is, until we get society together, until we get this shit on the right track, we should all stop having kids. Fuck your desire to have a family. How about, oh, and also, how fucked up is it, by the way, to have a kid during this? During this. Like, you look at the world, there's a pandemic, right? Dystopian capitalism, right? You can't pay for, like, drugs are impossible to find, right? Like, we're talking about, like, prescription drugs, so you have to pay out the ass. Everyone's dying. My family just died. I'm gonna have a kid. I'm gonna bring another life into this world. What? What? Is that a joke? Is that a joke? Like, is this like a stand-up routine that you're doing? You're gonna look at the world as it is, and your decision, that's right, I want a kid. I'm sorry, man. Fuck you. I'm being a little hyperbolic here. I'm not trying to be too rude. But again, like, our culture is fucked up. And I wanted to talk about this because the Michigan school shooting, really, I mean, that's getting a lot of attention. And the story, the thing about it that really is, again, it's multifaceted. Gun culture, Trumpism, capitalism, bad parenting. Bad parenting is the most important thing. There are a lot of people that should not have kids. They shouldn't. They just shouldn't fucking ever have kids. Most people. Look at the average motherfucker. Dumb as a rock. Think about the average American. Dumber than this dog. Look at that dog. That dog's pretty dumb, right? But I love him. But he's a pretty dumb dog, right? He runs into the wall. He's, he's also blind, but that's, right? Half of Americans are dumber than that. Like, think about that. I know, it's a classic one, right? You got the average motherfucker, dumb as a rock, and then half of them are dumber than that. Right? Like, so you've got the dumb motherfucker, you're visualizing the dumb motherfucker, and then you have to realize there's about 175 million that are dumber. Yeah, 175 million people that are dumber than that dumb motherfucker over there. What? Thank you for reminding me about circumcision. Did you know 80% of Americans cut their babies' dicks off? Personally. Right out the womb. They cut that motherfucker's dick off. Personally, that's another reason why I don't think these motherfuckers should have kids. Imagine you have a kid, in the first week of their life, you cut their dick off. Huh? Yeah, I love my kid. First week of their life, gonna cut that dick off. What? 80%. 80% of Americans have their dicks cut off. Well, 80% of Americans with dicks, right? What? Like, I'm sorry, what? So, okay, think about this. I wonder if Ethan, I shouldn't be wondering, but, okay, so the very, we are so stupid as a society, we are so dumb as a culture, that 80% of us cut our children's dicks off right after they're born. 80% of us. That's how dumb America is. That's how dumb it is. Americans go, oh, look at this beautiful baby. Snip. Cut that dick off. We don't need it. Like, again, what the hell is going on? And people are having kids. Personally, I think having children is one of the most fucked up decisions you can ever make in your life. I mean, I'm not trying to say that people that have kids are bad. I'm not trying to say that at all. And especially people that watch my show. I know y'all are really good people, and we're not, again, we're talking about most motherfuckers, right? I consider my audience to be, above average, I would say, in intelligence. I hope that y'all motherfuckers aren't cutting your kids' dicks off. I hope to God that that's not the case. And if you used to because you were dumb, and now you know better, please stop cutting your kids' dicks off. It's not cool. It's hip. It's hip. Yeah, it's hip. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just again, I'm sorry. But this is we have to examine this shit from a cultural level. We can't just say, oh, Ethan Crumbly is just a lone shooter. He's fucked up. He was a fucked up kid. We can't even just say, oh, his parents were fucked up. They were Trump supporters. Yeah, fuck Trump. What about, were the parents of the bullies Trump supporters? I don't know. I haven't looked into it that much. I don't know if that info is out there. Right? But my God, man. This society that we are living in is beyond fucked up. It is beyond fucked up. 80% of Americans cut their kids' dicks off. 95% of Americans don't know how to eat vegetables. Bongo Dave, I got snipped. Women seem to prefer it for oral reasons. I'm going to go out there and say this. If you are, it doesn't need to be a woman, if you are a cocksucker and you prefer cut dick, first of all, I want to let you know you're dumb. You're a dumb motherfucker. I'm just saying, the human dick is way better and I'm not, trying to, if you've got a cut, penis, that's, I'm sorry about that. And there's nothing and that's why we should stop that from ever happening again. But I'm just saying, right, the idea of having a preference, come on now. And if there is a preference, the idea of the preference being, oh yeah, let me just cut your dick off, and I prefer that. I'm sorry. What? 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 Yeah, I like to, when I'm engaging in sexual activity, I like to cut my partner's lips off. Because it makes kissing better. Are you listening to the sound of the words that are coming out of your mouth? Yeah, my preference, I've got a foot fetish, but, when I'm sucking my partner's toes, I really want to just cut off the pinky toe. It gets in the way. what? Like, I'm just trying to fathom what the fuck that is. So if you're a woman, if you're a man, if you're whatever you want to be, that's fine. If you have a preference, oh yeah, I prefer my partner got their dick cut off when they were a kid. You sound like a fucking freak. You're a freak, and you're a loser. I'm sorry. That makes you sound like a fucking psychopath. And if that's your kink, if you're like, oh man, like if you're into like, you know, I want to, you know, see like, you know, burn marks in your flesh or something. If you're into that extreme stuff, okay, right? But it's like, I'm sorry, man. What the fuck? Yeah, I prefer my partner to have had their dick cut off when they were a kid. What? You know, like, yes. You know what I mean? Like, oh, and what are the reasons? You ever have these fucking talks with people that I'm gonna get way off topic. This video started as talking about the Michigan shooting, but so I'm gonna end it there. That my society is fucked up. The Michigan shooting should tell you, the society's fucked up. You know, if you're a parent, pay attention to your fucking kids. Also, gun lovers are stupid. Trumpers are stupid. Y'all should have your kids taken away if you are a psychopath. If you teach your kid to murder people, and that's like, oh yeah, murder people. Gonna murder Democrats, hate the Democrats, we're gonna buy guns and kill Democrats. If that's what you're teaching your kid, you shouldn't have a kid. That's what I'm saying. So on that subject, case closed. Now let's get back into the dicks.